Okay, so I think we're gonna get started if people come in late, that's fine. Okay, so hello everyone, welcome to Chem 130, which is your combination general chem, organic chem, and biochem. I'm sure quite a few of you are on some different medical tracks, whether it's physician's assistants or vet techs or different sorts of things like that. So this is a useful class. Hopefully you've had 092, if not 092, Chem 092. If not Chem 092, then you took it in high school and did okay, well enough. If not, you can talk to me afterwards and we can try and figure out if this is a right class for you or not. Hello, everybody. I'm just scanning through, seeing if there's people with video. Hi, everybody. So it looks like some of you guys have video on, some of you guys have video off. It's fine if you drop the video, but if some of you, or when you can have the video on, it is helpful for me just because I can sort of see some people's reactions when I'm talking, so that if I'm making absolutely no sense, usually people are like, so it is helpful. But if you're having one of those days where you're like, I don't want to see anyone and I don't want them to see me, well, you can definitely turn the video off. The one thing I do ask of everybody though, while I'm lecturing, got someone to admit, is that you have your personal microphone muted. So if you look at your Zoom page, look in the lower left-hand corner, there's a mute button. I want everyone to click on that mute button. Just because there are, in counting, we've got 30, 32, 33 people in here, and it can get kind of crazy if you're new to Zoom. Depending on your microphone, it can pick up a lot of different stuff. So your kids screaming in the background and the bugs outside and everything. So when I'm lecturing, just have me, we'll just have me on mute. If you have questions that you want to ask in real time, I ask you to submit those through the chat. So if you look down on your Zoom bar, you should see something that says mute. That turns your volume on and off. You should see a stop video. That will turn the video off. So if you need to check out to go to the bathroom for a minute, or, I mean, you don't have to turn the video off for that, but if, someone walks in and you don't want them on screen, or you're having one of those days, that's where you would turn that off. You can see the participants. There's a share screen button, which I will be using. You guys won't be using. There's a reactions button that has like a hand wave or a see ya or whatever. And then there should also be a chat. So what I want some of you guys to do, or all of you to do right now, is just type something into the chat. Just say, hey, what's up? How's it going? Just so that you can get familiar with using that. Hello, everyone. Hey. Awesome. Cool. Cool. Perfect. Great. So super easy, right? Super easy way for us to communicate without all of us having our microphones on. Welcome to the future, everyone. So, let's see. Okay, cool. So just so you know, questions will be submitted through the chat, but sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to manage lecturing and the chat box at the exact same time. So it may take me a couple minutes to get to your question, and I may have to like go back to answer your question. So know that if you write something in there and I'm not getting it right away, I try and check it every 5 minutes or so. So I will definitely get back to that. So let's get started going over stuff. I guess we can start with who I am. So my name's Candace Henderson, and I'll be your instructor. I have been teaching chemistry and geology at AB Tech for 6.5 years, almost 7 years. I was an adjunct up until this semester. So I got hired on as full-time this semester. Why am I even qualified to teach this class? I have a degree. I've had that happen before. People are like, well, why can you even teach this? I'm like, well, because I went to school for a little while and I know some things. Now, I don't know a lot about everything, but I know a few things about chemistry. So my undergraduate was actually in geology, which is like rock science. Um, and then my master's degree, I always have loved geology. I just love looking at the mountains and the oceans and how all that works and all different rocks and minerals. I'm a total rock mineral nerd. If you ever have questions about that stuff, you can always ask me about that. But when I went to grad school, geology, I mean, no, not many people are geologists as their job. So I tried to find something that was a little more applicable. So I went into something called geochemistry, which is just the chemistry of the geology around us. And specifically, I did work with stable isotopes of perchlorate contamination in the Great Lakes, which sounds super nerdy, but I think it's really sexy in the science field. And it allowed me to do a bunch of really cool field work out on the Great Lakes. So I actually got to spend 2 separate trips of a month each out on a huge boat in all 5 of the Great Lakes. And it was super cool, amazing, amazing stuff. So yeah, so that's why I get to teach this. I really enjoy this class, this 130 chem class. I always really like the students. It's just you guys are a really good caliber of students. You guys like really keep the bar high, so I appreciate that. And it's always interesting to hear what different sorts of fields you guys are going into, and that may be a little tough through Zoom, right? But know that after all of our lectures, I will be available if you want to chit chat or you have questions or anything like that. And I can set it where I put everyone out into the waiting room and then just pull people in one-on-one so you're not having to like talk to me with other people in the space. Okay, so I think that's it. Other things about me, I live on a 9-acre hobby farm with my husband. We have 2 dogs. We used to have 3. We have 2 dogs, 2 cats, 2 donkeys, 2 goats, 3 pigs. I don't know, like 50 chickens or something. I have a 4-year-old daughter and I have a 3.5-month-old daughter. So if I look tired and I'm not making sense, it's because I never sleep. So be patient with me and I will be patient with you all. Okay. I think that the most important thing for this semester is just having some compassion and some grace for each other, because this isn't easy for anybody. I know that it hasn't been easy for me. It hasn't been easy to be pregnant during a pandemic. It hasn't been easy to raise a baby during a pandemic. And I know each and every one of you have your own sets of circumstances that have been really challenging. So let's all just be compassionate with each other and we'll just do the best we can. With that being said, though, you guys got to leave an open line of communication with me. So if you're struggling with something or you're having trouble to complete something, do something, if you know, oh, gosh, I really can't get that online test done by the due date, you got to let me know before. Okay. So if you're letting me know after the fact, there's not a lot of forethought in there. So just let me know beforehand. Okay. And that can be either we can have a Zoom meeting or we can also just do it through email. So let's move on to some housekeeping stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up sharing my computer screen. So what you're going to see on your screen is my computer screen. And it can get a little weird sometimes. It's kind of, if you've ever seen the movie Inception, it's like a dream within a dream within a dream. It becomes like a screen within a screen within a screen. So you may see your face on my screen on your screen, okay? Or you may see a couple different Zoom bars. Some of them are mine, some of them are yours. You won't have access to the ones that are on my screen, just so you know. You also may see things pop up like in my email and stuff like that, so don't be concerned. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen now, hopefully. You can see my email, something about Zoom service, waitlist students, and then some of you guys may see your faces on the right-hand side there. So let's get out of my email. You don't need to be there. Okay, a quick question that I want you to put into the chat. Has anybody not signed in or used Moodle before? If there's anyone who's never used Moodle, not familiar with Moodle, let me know. If you have, don't worry about it. But if there's anyone who's like, what's Moodle? I've used it for about 5 minutes. Okay, cool. I've never used it, never have. Okay, cool. So there's some people in there, so that's fine. We'll go slow with Moodle. So when you're accessing, let's see, got some more. Never have. Okay, cool. So Moodle is going to be your go-to place for pretty much all of your online classes. If this is your only online class, then it'll just be for me. But if you have other classes, you're going to find that this stuff is going through Moodle. Moodle, this bar is always in the way. So I have a link just in my favorites, but if you go to the AB Tech website, you can find a link for Moodle on there somewhere. People over here, I'm going to close you out. Okay. So let's see where it's hiding. Student resources, or no. I never usually go through this way. It might be at the bottom. Oh, come on, where's Moodle? Online services, maybe where it is. Let's see. Yeah, okay. So if you go to the main page and you go to online services and you'll go down to this thing here called Moodle. You click on that. So I'll open up my Moodle. And so it's like a Blackboard program, or a program where you can put a bunch of different information and resources up. When you log into Moodle, you will use your AB Tech email, and you'll also use your AB Tech password. It should just be in sync with that. I've made the class viewable, and there are actually, you guys, there are 2 sections in this lecture, okay? We've got one group, which is my B5 people that have a lab on Tuesday, and then I have B6 people that have a lab on Thursday, but everybody lectures together, all right? So if you're in the Tuesday, you will be in the B5 section. That will be the only one that shows up. If you are in the 6, you will have a separate section, but we'll all meet together for lecture. Video was on the fritz too. Also, if you ever lose me, if a bunch of you guys, usually if you've lost me, other people have lost me, so you can just put it in the chat, hey, we lost you like 2 minutes ago. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up, we'll go for the B5 one. This is, actually, we're not in B5 and B6, we're B1 and, or maybe B1, B2. Yeah, sorry about that. That's for my Chem 151. Here we go, here's one of the organics. Cool. So you'll see my information on the top with my email. There's a picture of the text that you guys will be using. There's a course announcements button here. I don't really use course announcements a whole lot. I tend to just send group emails. So I don't know, maybe that'll change this semester. This is the first time I've taught a class solely online like this. So it's sort of a learning thing for me. So if you guys find that something, I'm not doing something that you found useful in other classes, feel free to give me the feedback. We've got our syllabus. So I will need you to, and I've actually, you know what? I need to update the verification. So you will need to go, we're going to go through the syllabus together, but you will need to go through it on your own and then confirm that you've actually gone through the syllabus. And it'll be this thing. It's literally just clicking a button saying that you've read it. I've got to update that though. So don't do it until it's later on in the week. Student learning outcomes. Academic Learning Center. Guys, this is an awesome, awesome, awesome resource. So I don't know if you've ever used the ALC or the Academic Learning Center, but it is a resource that's included in your tuition. So you're not paying for it, and well, you've already paid for it, but it's free tutoring. It used to be in person. Obviously, that's not the case now because of COVID. So that will all be done online, but it's still accessible for you guys. I believe it's 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. from Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is a shortened day. It's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. I used to work in the Academic Learning Center, and that was one of my favorite things to do. I really loved tutoring people one-on-one, and everyone that works in there is freaking amazing. Art is great. Catherine is great. Jamie was really good. So I would highly, highly recommend looking into that and just working on setting up like some Zoom appointments as the semester goes on. If we get into a chapter where you're like, I'm totally lost, or not even just I'm totally lost, but I have no idea what Candace Henderson is saying. She makes no sense to me. I need like a secondary source for this information. It happens, right? Sometimes we don't click with every teacher. So don't take offense to it. Let's see. So B2, I think B2 is Thursday's lab. We'll talk about lab in a second though. That's going to be sort of free flowing. So we're not going to be super strict about lab, and I'll get into that in a sec. There's some additional notes in here from one of the other instructors. Just additional lecture notes with some worksheets and stuff. You're more than welcome to use that. I've got a grade scenario calculator. Then I've got some things that are hidden from you guys. You won't see it on your Moodle page. So online homework will be done through Mastering Chemistry. If you've ever taken 092 at AB Tech, then you are well versed in Mastering Chemistry, and you know that it can sometimes be a doozy. So I don't have a problem with you working on Mastering Chemistry problems with people in the Academic Learning Center or the tutoring lab. No problem at all, okay? Here's a link to the Mastering Chemistry homework. And then here is our course ID, and we'll go into a little bit more detail about that in a couple minutes. When it comes to the lab section of the class, that's all going to be under laboratory resources. The first two things here are really important. I'm not going to play this video, but this video tells you how to submit a lab into one of these things. It's pretty easy. But again, I don't want to assume that anybody is or isn't technically savvy. I mean, I know that even just with setting up my Zoom, I was like nagging my husband to help me figure out some of the things. So this is a really basic step-by-step for you guys. Because we can't meet in person, the labs are all going to be done virtually, all right? So what that means is that you will end up clicking on this Word document here where it says all lab procedures here. So I'm going to click on it and open it for you guys. This bar is always in my way. And what you will find is that all of the labs, data, information, and procedures, some of them have videos or video links that you can plug in and look on YouTube that give you some demonstrations. All of this stuff is going to be right here for every single lab. So I don't know, if you wanted to get crazy and like do all 20 of the labs in the next week, you could. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say space them out as we lecture so that you can use them as practice for the information, but you know, whatever. Some people get crazy, some people don't sleep. I don't sleep ever, it seems like, anymore. So maybe you want to be doing this at 3 in the morning. But that is where all of the resources are to your lab procedures, okay? Underneath these two instructional links, you'll see this little hand. Do you see the little hand with the paper? Anytime you see the little hand with the paper, that's saying that you're delivering me an assignment, okay? So you're handing off an assignment. So those are all submissions. So let's say you work through lab 1 on chemistry and measurements. Say you get started on that maybe tomorrow and you finish it up, you can submit it here. So how are you going to submit your labs? Well, you do need the lab manual. I don't have the 131 with me right now. I do have the 151. Yours is thicker and it has a spiral along the side of it. So what you will do is play any videos that you need to, go through any procedures that you need to, and you will fill out the lab in the lab manual. After that, yep, there it is. Yeah, Courtney's got a picture of it. Awesome, thank you. So that's where it's like video within a video within a video. It's crazy. So you'll end up taking a picture of each of the pages, putting those onto your computer, and then you'll upload them into Moodle. Upload means you take it from your computer and put it into Moodle. Download would be you're taking something from Moodle, okay? So there are a couple different options on how you can submit it. I really want you guys to submit labs either as a PDF or a JPEG. They just are easier to read. If I can't read the lab, I can't grade the lab, all right? So that's where all this is, and we'll kind of go over that a little bit more when we get into the syllabus. Tests and final exam are going to be on Moodle, okay? So when it's time for you to take a test, this is where you're going to want to go to take it. They will be online. It will be an honor code system. You'll have about an hour and 15 minutes to finish the exams. They will be open note in the sense that you can use your notes that you've taken from class. I'm okay with that. Now, with that being said, you are still going to want to study. You don't want to be teaching yourself how to read your own notes while you have an hour and 15 minutes and it's ticking away, okay? Because once you start that exam, you got to roll through the whole thing. So make sure you've done proper studying, and then hopefully the notes give you a little extra kick. Okay? Underneath test and final exam, that's where we get into all the PowerPoint slides. And you'll also see objectives for chapters. So that just helps maybe to refine a little bit like what you need from each chapter, because some of the chapters have more information than I'm going to test you on. So the objectives will kind of fine comb some of that information. So you can go through here. There's some additional worksheets, memory sheets, things like that, okay? And that's for all the chapters that we are going to be going through. So that is Moodle. So lots of good stuff on Moodle. You'll definitely be visiting Moodle multiple times a week. Let's pull open our syllabus and just talk about layout of the course and expectations and things like that. And again, while I'm talking here, if you have any questions, yeah, just throw it out in the chat. Let's see. Do you record your Zoom meetings and post on Moodle? Yes, I do. So I was just about to talk about that, so good segue. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, my daughter's like, I want to do morning yoga. So, okay. Here's our syllabus. So this is how the setup of the course is going to be. Lecture for you all is Monday and Wednesday from 11 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. And those are Zoom live classes, which means the expectation is that you guys are going to be like this, in person, listening to me lecture, and then hopefully like engaging to some extent. So asking questions, hey, slow down, hey, do another example problem, things like that. Labs are scheduled for Tuesday and Thursday from 11 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. All right. But I'm not going to be conducting the labs because the lab stuff has already sort of been pre-recorded and prepared. So it wouldn't be really fair for me to take up an hour and 15 minutes of your time and then make you listen to another hour of lab. stuff, all right? So what I want you to think of that Tuesday, Thursday time is your personal lab time. Now, so we won't formally meet on those days, all right? So as far as face-to-face, I will see you guys Monday, Wednesday. Now, with that being said, I will be available through email and I can pop into a Zoom meeting with you during either Tuesday or Thursday, okay? So if you're working on the lab and you're like, oh my gosh, this makes absolutely no sense, send me an email. I will be 5-10 minutes away from being able to sit down and help you with that. So almost thinking about those as like open office hours, if that makes sense. That also works as far as lecture stuff too. If you have questions with lecture stuff, you can bump into me on Tuesday, Thursday. As of right now, I'm gonna say anybody can go and use the time either Tuesday or Thursday, okay? Unless I get everybody coming to me on Tuesdays or everybody's bothering me on Thursdays, I'm not necessarily gonna have you guys split up into Tuesday, Thursdays. Does that make sense? Yes? Yes. Okay. So if you're in the Thursday one, but you're really dying to ask me a question on Tuesday, just ask me a question on Tuesday. I don't have a problem with that. So Mondays live, Mondays, Wednesdays live, Tuesdays, Thursdays will be asynchronous your time. Now with Monday and Wednesday being live, I understand that some of us are working, some of us have kids from home, things can get a little crazy, blah, 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 blah. So I will be recording the lectures. So like, for instance, this lecture is currently recording, and I still have to figure out how to do it, but I will be able to upload it to YouTube and I will put the link for that on Moodle. So if you miss a lecture, you can go back and rewatch the lecture. The thing that you miss out with that is that you don't get to ask questions. There isn't that real-time experience. And yeah, so I mean, I would say as much as you can be here for the live Zoom, all right? With that being said, you know, with your final grade, there's always wiggle room at the end of the semester. If you're someone that I've seen repeatedly on the live Zooms, that's gonna fare well for you, okay? An 88.4 can turn into a 90 real quick if I know that you've been putting the time and effort in. So just know that. So 130, you need to have 092 or some sort of high school chemistry. Here's the text and the lab manual. For the text, you really are needing, and then we also need a mastering, you'll also need a mastering chemistry code. So the text is the greenish book at the top of the Moodle. The mastering chemistry is a separate thing. That is how your homework is going to get graded. So you definitely need to do that. You'll need internet access, obviously. And then a scientific calculator is recommended. You need some sort of calculator. Scientific calculators are nice because they allow you to put parentheses in and do higher functional stuff a little bit easier. If you've got like a really tiny calculator with only like 13 buttons on it, you know, like the numbers and plus and minus, that's going to make it more difficult. The mastering chemistry, I do believe that there's a link that you can buy at the AV Tech store. You can also buy it directly through mastering chemistry as well, okay? And I'll show you guys in a second where that is. So here's my information, my email, my office, which I'm not going to be in. Office hours, I'm setting loosely Wednesday 9:30 to 11. But again, you can sort of think of that Tuesday, Thursday lab time as office hour times as well. And please, please don't hesitate to send me a message if you need help with stuff. You know, it's nice to have the contact with other life forms outside of my children. So anytime you want to talk chemistry, let me know. One more. Is that link still okay? Do you know, I think that those codes are good for a year. So I would try it. And see. If not, then I would maybe poke around and bother mastering chemistry tech support, because I do think that you can use those for up to a year. All right. So scrolling down here. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry. Okay. So grading system is pretty standard, what you would expect. You have a few pages missing from last semester. Am I still able to use the same manual? Talk to me one-on-one about that. Maybe after class we can chat about it, and I can look at, or we can talk about which manual pages you're missing, and we can see if we can work something out, okay? If it's a bunch of them, that's going to be hard, but let's talk after class. All right, so increments of 10 percentage points for A, B, C, D, and so on. Again, 90 to 100 is an A, but there is room for that to shift. 89s can get moved up. I have in the past, on occasion, for really, really stellar students, moved 88s up as well. Tends to be this area here where I have trouble, where people are in the DC range and they're like, oh my gosh, please, I need to pass this class. I need to pass it. So that's where, you know, being present, being communicative, getting your stuff done on time is going to play really well for you. As far as the breakup of the course is concerned, we have lecture tests, which are 45% of your grade. There is a grade replacement policy, which means that if you miss a test or if you do poorly on one of the exams, your final exam can replace that test. So let's say test 2, let's say every test you got an 80%, but for whatever reason, test 2, you got like a 25%, you just bombed it. Know that if you do better on the final, let's say you end up getting a 70 on the final, that final will accompany the final grade, but it will also take over whatever your lowest grade is. I don't replace, if you do worse on the final, I won't replace your test with the lower grade, okay? It will only be used to benefit you. Final exam is 15%. The lab is worth 25% of your grade. So this is a really great place to get points. In that I'm pretty generous in my grading on the labs, as long as they're thoughtful and complete. If you turn a lab in 50% complete, the highest grade that I can give you is a 50%, which is an F. So don't leave things blank. Follow the assignments and complete them to a T. If you don't know an answer, you know, get creative. Google it. Ask a friend, hey, what do you think about this? You know, or critical think and come up with an answer. I will give you the benefit of the doubt, okay? But if you leave it blank, it's real easy for me to grade it. It's just wrong. So make sure you're filling that stuff in. And again, if you're filling it in and you're attempting at it, that's going to be a way to sort of buoy your grade, because that lab grade will go boom, right through the roof and it'll help you out. Then there's a 15%, which is mastering chemistry, homework, quizzes, online and class, and assignments. Really, that's just going to be mostly mastering chemistry, all right? If you've done mastering chemistry before in 092, you know that it is a process. It takes time. It takes up a good amount of time. So I wouldn't wait until the last minute to do your mastering chemistry assignments. I'd give yourself enough time. Hey, I'm going to work on it for a half hour here. I'm going to work on it for an hour here, blah, 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 because it requires a lot. So, sorry, my daughter is screaming at our nanny right now. I can hear it. I don't know if you, hopefully you can't hear it. I can hear it. Okay, so make sure you look through the syllabus on your own time and verify it by 8:31. I will update the syllabus verification for you guys so that it reflects that. please do that, just because 8/31 is next Monday. Please do that because that's just a way for me to track enrollment, so I can give you guys participation points pretty much, so that you don't get booted from the class because you haven't been here. Because I know some of you guys won't be here for certain lectures and things like that, so I'm not taking attendance like tit for tat, but I do need that so I can get it for the census period. All right, so there's sort of a breakdown of our chapters. Here's all the different labs that we're going to be working on. Okay, here's the mastering chemistry. So you'll go to www.masteringchemistry.com. You'll click on the correct textbook, and then it's gonna either prompt you to put in your access code that you already have. If you don't have an access code, you will be able to buy an access code through their website. So if you don't have the access code yet, you don't necessarily have to get it from the bookstore. You can just get it through their website. In big letters here is our course ID. So that's what you'll want to search for. Let me pull up Mastering Chemistry. It won't be exactly what yours looks like, but it will be close. Hold on. I don't know is the access code on there? I feel like it should be nestled in there somewhere if you have a new textbook. If I don't have the textbook in hand, it's kind of hard for me to see, but usually they have it lying somewhere in here. So take a peek. If you can't find it, we can talk one-on-one about that. Someone stole yours out of your chemistry book, so check. Oh man, that stinks. Yours was in the back of the book, okay. Maybe you can return that book and get a new one saying that they didn't have it? In the very back of the book, okay. The bookstore fixed it. They're great. Okay, perfect. Good. Glad to hear. All right. So Mastering Chemistry, you'll go to the webpage. It'll look something like this. Again, mine's going to look slightly different than yours because I'm on an instructor side, but it'll prompt you to create an account, put in your access code, do all that sort of stuff. I've already got all that plugged in. I just want to open it and show you. So here are the courses that I'm teaching, and this is our course. So M130. This is really convenient in that it has a nice little calendar button where you can see all the courses. So if I go down here, there's assignments. You can hit all assignments, but I'm kind of more of a visual, spatially visual person. So I like the calendar because it has it spread out over a calendar on when assignments are due. So as far as you guys are concerned, you will have a homework assignment due on Sunday. All of your assignments, all your homework assignments and lab assignments will be due Sunday by midnight. So this first one, chapter 1, is just going to be kind of getting you familiar. I mean, chapter 1 of this course is like, welcome to science. Here's the scientific method. And, you know, it's not a silly chapter, but it's just not something that we're going to fully cover. So you are going to be required to go through that and to do the chapter 1 kind of on your own. And then you can see as we move forward, chapters 2, there's a break in there, chapter 3, 4. Sometimes they're every Sunday, sometimes they're every other Sunday. It just depends on how quickly we lecture through the material. So I don't want you guys to be doing assignments when we haven't lectured on stuff. So that's why sometimes it gets pushed off. You again are more than welcome to do homework ahead of time if you want to. Otherwise, I would say, you know, wait until you get one lecture to feel comfortable with this stuff. All right, where are we headed? Let's head back to our syllabus. So that's mastering chemistry. Your screen will look something like this when you have an exam. So underneath over here, underneath tests and final exam, in the next upcoming weeks, something will pop up and it'll say, like, I pledge that I've used only my notes, textbook, data, and formula sheet to complete the test. I haven't consulted anyone else, websites, anything like that, and you're not moving freely. All right, so that's going to be an honor system thing. Just going to say I trust you guys. Time limit will usually be about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I will give you a range for you to take it. So we're not taking it during lecture hours, which is really nice because that'll give us some extra time to either go over stuff or maybe to get out, 10 minutes early or something like that. But the test will be available usually from Sunday in the AM until Monday, the following day in the PM. Couple on course advice. So there's a link in here for the Academic Learning Center. Again, the ALC, the tutoring lab, that is really, really awesome resource. So I highly recommend it. Here are some important dates. We don't meet on Labor Day, which is in 2 weeks, and then we won't meet for the second part of the holiday break. Verify the syllabus. Okay, last day to withdrawal is November 18th. So you guys actually have quite a bit of time to take the course before you withdraw. I think you end up taking 3 of the 5 tests before you have to decide if you want to withdraw from the class. And then the most important thing, I think, of the syllabus that everybody's always trying to get to is the course schedule. So this first one is the lecture schedule. So this tells you what we'll be doing when. So this week we're doing introduction stuff, maybe do a little bit in chapter 1, and then we might start getting into chapter 2. Lets you know when your tests are. So I'll remind you, but you want to be keeping an eye out for those test dates. And also when the final is. There is another schedule down here, and this is when your labs are due. So I do believe under laboratory resources that I put the dates on there as well, so you can reference it just from there. But it is also on the syllabus. And if at any point you ever see like an inconsistency, like, oh, this says it's due the 4th and this says it's due the 8th, just let me know. There's a lot of dates floating around right now. It's kind of crazy. Okay, so that is that for the syllabus. Does anybody have any questions regarding the syllabus, the class layout, Moodle, housekeeping, anytime? Can't find the access code still. You can't find it in your textbook? Go over mastering chemistry again. Okay, so tests are taken on Moodle. So you will log into Moodle and you'll go under tests and final exam, and it will prompt you to take the exam. As far as the access code is concerned, it should be in the back of your textbook. If it's a new textbook, if it's a used textbook, you may have to buy the access code separately. As far as mastering chemistry is concerned, there is a step-by-step set of instructions in the syllabus right here that tells you how to get into mastering chemistry. So click on masteringchemistry.com, look for our textbook, and literally just follow step-by-step until you get to the place where it prompts you for our course ID. All the labs will be done online, yes. So again, we won't be meeting for those lab in person, so I don't want you to feel like you're drowning by yourself with the labs online, so know that you can always ask me for questions, but yes, those will be done online and submitted online as well. I believe that there's a or an app for your cell phone called Cam Center. I have it in another syllabus. Hold on one second. I don't know, my book's off. There was a delay in my book, but I would receive anything else. It says it should be here between. Okay, so if Haley, send me an email directly if you have any questions that are specific to your specific situation. Just email me directly. When is the Mastering Chemistry course live? I just tried to log in using the course ID and it shows it's non-existent. Okay, it will be live sometime this afternoon. I'll get it up for you guys. Okay, Jordan. Cool. Let's see. Look for one of my other syllabus. I don't know why I didn't put it in your syllabus, but yeah, okay. So there's an app called Cam Scanner that you can use, which will make PDFs of your pictures, make it easier to submit them. Okay, so yeah, I can talk to Jordan about that if you are interested. If somebody raised their hand, you can throw it in the chat. If it's too complicated of a question to put in the chat, you can hold off till the end. We can talk about it, okay? All right. Other questions about housekeeping stuff? A couple more. Okay. What does the app look like? I have no idea. I just know that it's called Cam Scanner. So I know that they have, I'm not the one scanning labs, turning them in. I just have to grade them. But I know that they have one for Android and they have one for your iPhone as well. If you want to use a different app, you can. Some people don't even use apps. They literally just take pictures with their phone. That's fine. Just make sure it's clear enough for me to read. So use a pen or, even like one of these markers, something that gives you like a really good line so that I can see it. Did we need to get the safety goggles? You can use them for COVID, but no, we don't need them for the lab because we're not meeting in person. So maybe you can return them or you can use them at the grocery store. Have to return those. Yeah, they haven't been used. Hopefully you can return those. Halloween costume 2020. Oh, so depressing. I was just talking to our nanny about that. I was like, I wonder what's going to happen with Halloween. That's even going to happen. Someone was like, maybe some people like launch candy from their front steps and you have to grab it or something. Who knows? Just going to do the best we can. If you want to do an at-home lab, as long as you don't burn your house down. No, we will not be requiring anyone to do at-home labs. Somebody asked that and they said, are we going to be doing things like in our kitchen and stuff? No, the liability there is too great. And we don't want to assume that anybody, that people have all the equipment that you would need in a kitchen or that even you have a kitchen, right? We just don't want to make those assumptions. So, and we know that it's already a hefty price tag between tuition and books and everything. So it'll all be virtual. All right, anything else? Yes. You're accident prone. Me too. Me too. Okay, well, I think then we're going to start by doing a little bit of lecture just to kind of get comfortable with it. Normally it'll be like an hour and 15 minutes. We may take a break in the middle. An hour and 15 isn't too bad. I had one lecture, one time it was a condensed schedule and it was a 4-hour lecture. That was very, very long. So I think we can handle an hour and 15. All right, I'm going to go to the Moodle page and which one do I need to choose? It gives 2 options. I'm not sure. You need is it giving you the lab manual and the textbook? Because you do need the lab manual and you need the textbook. You need both of those. All right. You don't know how to show me? Yeah. Hannah, we can maybe talk after class and you can show me your screen. You can share your screen with me and we can walk through it. Okay, so this thing is always in the way. I wish I could move it to the side. My stuff in had help. There's a spiral, yep, the spiral textbook on the top shelf and you need the yellow and greenish one on the bottom shelf. Yeah, so there's 2 things. One is the lab manual and one of them is the actual textbook that if is new, it has the code. So many screens. Those options are ebook, used, and new options. So honestly, I would recommend getting the new one because it includes the access code for the homework. If you get the used one, you're not going to have the access code and you're going to have to buy that separately. And don't quote me on this, but I think if you go on Pearson's website and you just get the access code, I feel like it includes an e-textbook with it as well. So you may want to try going onto the Mastering Chemistry website and see what happens there. And the textbook without buying, it won't let you do it without buying the goggles. All right, well, we can chat about textbook one-on-one. Yeah, because I'm not buying the textbook, so I'm not sure how they have it set up. I don't know why they would have it set up this semester that you have to buy the goggles if you buy the text. That makes no sense. All right, so all of these notes, the slides are online, but I do recommend having a sheet, a notepad next to you because we're gonna be doing lots of practice problems and stuff throughout the semester. So it'll be helpful, useful in that way. This stuff is all stuff that you're gonna sort of need to go through on your own. Positive and negative numbers. Okay, I'm gonna assume that you've got those basic math skills, calculator operations, calculating percentage. Actually, this is something that I want to talk about because I do think people struggle with this. Okay, so when solving an equation, so let's look at this equation right here. We've got 2x plus 8 equals 14. We can rearrange the things in this equation to solve for the unknown variable. So if I want to solve for this value here of x, I want to get x by itself. And here x is not by itself. There's other things that are in the way of getting it by itself. So based off of order of operations, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the 8 that's on this side. So the opposite of a positive 8 is a negative 8 or subtracting 8. So we would subtract 8 on this side, but whatever you do on the left side, you have to do on the right side. It's got to be balanced. So we would subtract 8 from both sides, which would give us a new equation that says 2x equals 6. Now, if I want to get x by itself, I need to get rid of the 2. The way you get rid of the 2 is by doing the opposite of whatever its function is. So in this case, x is being multiplied by 2. So I'll need to divide by 2 in order to get x by itself. 2 divided by 2, or any number divided by itself, is going to give you a value of 1. But again, whatever you do on the left side, you're going to have to do on the right side as well. So we'll divide by 2. And what ends up happening is these 2's will cancel out. The 6 divided by 2 gives us a 3, and we figure out that x equals 3. So you're going to have to be doing some basic isolating variables. It's just how it goes when we're doing chemistry. So I want you to try this here. We've got P1 V1 equals P2 V2. I want you to try and isolate for P1, or just get the variable P1 by itself without any numbers in there. You can plug numbers in at a later time. For now, we're just gonna just isolate. Ew, math. Come on, math is awesome. Okay. So I'm gonna escape out of that screen for a second. And you don't have to put your answers in the chat. I'll go over these ones. I honestly have no idea where that face came from. Honestly, I have no idea. Do you guys see that? I have no idea where that came from. Is somebody Zoom bombing me? It drew itself. Seriously, that's a little freaky. I don't even know how to get rid of it. Go away. I thought I did. I did not do that. That would have been funny, but I am not that clever. Oh. Let's see. Okay. Oh, someone got rid of it. Okay. Who did it? Who was the person who did it? Ah! Hilarious. Stop doing that, guys. Okay. Whoever just drew that line. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yes, I did not draw that. All right. I'm going to pull this open here. So this is sort of a blackboard. This is going to act as our blackboard or our dry erase board. I have this Wacom pad that is from like 2006. So yeah, so my writing may be a little wiggly or unclear because this isn't like the most up-to-date technology, but it is what I got out of the department. So let's try it here. Okay, so we had P1 V1 equals P2 V2, right? And I said, hey, let's solve for P1. So that means I want to keep P1 by itself. which means V1 has got to get moved over, right? We're done with V1 being on this side. So in this case, what is V1 doing? It's acting as a multiplier, right? We're taking P1 and we're multiplying it by V1. So in order to get rid of the V1, we need to divide this side by V1. But if I divide that side by V1, what do I have to do on the other side? I've got to divide it by V1 as well. It's really important with these little equations with the ones and the twos that you're keeping those subscripts consistent. And we'll get back, we'll actually go back to this equation later on in gas laws, but that V1 would mean like an initial volume, the V2 would be a final volume. So those would be talking about different numbers, okay? What happens to our V1 here? It cancels. So we end up with P1 equals P2 V2 over V1. Yes, no, maybe so. It gets a little trickier when we try and solve for things under the equation bar. Zoom gives the option to draw on the screen for participants, apparently. Okay, well, we're getting rid of that, definitely. You guys will drive me crazy. I mean, I'm already sort of a little crazy right now. It's been a crazy time, but okay, so let's look at the same equation, but let's solve for something different, okay? So let's do a different equation. Let's do what is Charles' law? Charles' law. Okay. So V1 over T1 equals V2 over T2. Okay, that's the equation. I want you to isolate T1. So I want you to try and get T1 by itself. And it's a little tricky because it's underneath the fraction bar, so you got to do an extra step. Yeah, if you guys have to pop out, that's fine. I will attempt to figure out how to put these things on YouTube in the next day or so, so you can always catch the last little bit. Unless you feel confident with isolating this, then you'll be good because we're gonna probably end after that. All right, just another 30 seconds or so. So we're trying to solve for T1 down here. We've got V1 on the top, V2, and T2. There's sort of two ways that we can go about this. One way is I can get rid of this V1 if I divide both sides by V1, right? So this will cancel and this will cancel. But do you see how T1, it's still underneath the fraction bar. So 1 over T1 is equal to V2 over T2 times V1, okay? Now I don't want the inverse of T1. I want T1 in its true sense. So I need to flip these two guys, and also I will need to flip these two guys. So what ends up happening is that we end up getting T1 equal to T2 times V1 over T2. I flipped the place of these two. I flipped the place of these two. Right? Another way that you can go about solving this is so if we go to our, let's just make some space over here, just rewrite it. Okay, so I've got, change colors on this. So I've got V1 over T1 equals V2 over T2. Because I see that T1's on the bottom, I don't like it being on the bottom, so I'm going to move it to the other side so that it's on the top. So I'm going to multiply by T1 and multiply by T1. That means that this and this will cancel, and I've isolated for V1, ideally. T1's over here, so now I've got V1 equals V2 over T2 times T1. But I still want this by itself, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this side by the inverse of this thing, or T2 over V2, right? Because that and that will cancel, that and that will cancel. But what do I have to do? Whatever I do on this side, I have to do the other side. So we'll put T2 over here, and we'll put V2 over here. So now I know that T1 equals this over here. That again, is the same answer that we got over here. It's just flipped. You did the second version. Yeah, so it's up to you what works better for you. Some people get a little freaked out by inverses and stuff like that. So if you want to do it this way, you can. Some people like to plug the numbers into the equation and then isolate from there. You can do that as well. But you definitely need to be able to do that. Okay. Let's see here. All right. We're not going to worry about graphs. And we're not going to talk about scientific notation just yet. We'll do that on Thursday, or rather Wednesday, sorry. So, yeah, that's it for today. We're done. We survived the first Zoom lecture. If you have any questions, you can hang around, and I will just wait until everybody filters out. I'll throw you guys all into a weight room and bring you in one at a time. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day. Tomorrow is Tuesday's lab section. Know that, again, we're not going to be there in person, but I'll be available. I'll be floating around. So message me if you have any questions. Otherwise, good luck with everything, and try and get on mastering chemistry and get through that syllabus, okay? Bye, guys.